Hey Bundy buddies, Bundy here. Today we're working on a J Series Honda V6. This is found in your Honda Accords, Acuras, Hondas, Odysseys, Ridgelines. But today I'm taking off the cylinder head, the rear cylinder head. Now to do this right here, I have a breaker bar, half-inch breaker bar with a 14 millimeter 12 point. There's two different kinds of head bolts that are used, 12 point and 6 point. Difference being is there's two different torque sequences for those. As far as how you tighten them, I'll put a link in the description below, or actually I can just throw it up right here. Honda recommends that you take off remove the head bolts in the opposite direction of the way it's torqued down when you're installing it. So obviously you would start with number 8, which is in the top right hand corner. 8 would be your number 1. You go to 7 would be your number 2, and that's only for removal. All right, and the reason they do that is because it helps minimize warpage on the head when you remove it. Obviously, you should do this when it's cold, when the engine is cold. Don't do it when the engine is hot. But Honda recommends you remove the bolts in the reverse torque sequence of installation. So that's why I put that up there for you guys. So when you guys start doing it, obviously number 1 will be number 8. You just do a quarter of a turn. Go to number 2, which is 7, so on and so forth. Quarter of a turn, go back to number 8, which is number 1, do another quarter turn. It took me 3 times to get them loose enough where I actually get in there with just the socket and undo it by hand. And then I was able to get them off with a half-inch Craftsman ratchet. But right here, I'm going to show you guys the head bolt itself. You can see how long it is right there. When you install them, it's a good idea to use a white lithium grease. So I'm just pulling them all out here. The reason I'm doing this is it's either a cracked head or a bad set of exhaust valve seals is the reason why I'm pulling this off. You would also do this if the timing belt snapped and the piston and the valves hit each other, and you want to make sure all the valves were good, or obviously if you have a blown head gasket. When I pull off heads, I like to think of it as a Lego brick and check all 4 sides and make sure everything's clear and free before you start pulling the head up. Kind of what I'm doing here is just checking all 4 sides. Had to remove the cat, or not remove it, had to disconnect the cat from the bottom and on the head itself to get it loose, and I'll check the left hand side. So here I put on gloves because it has some sharp edges, and just pulling the head off. I'm going to examine the head gasket, just seeing if there's any bluish, if it did overheat. I actually bought this car for a really good price, and it was smoking white smoke, and I figured out it was a head issue. So I'm just trying to see if I can see any indications overheating, which I can't on this engine. So yeah, just checking everything, making sure everything looks good. Looking down the cylinders now, see if there's any scarring, any kind of pitting. Maybe you would see indications of a battering. You would see like scraping and marring on the inside of the cylinder. Obviously there's coolant in there because coolant runs through the head. And yeah, just take your time when you guys do this. There you guys go. Hope it helped you out.